Hey movers, shakers, and the stuck but curious. I'm Freya Gordon, and this is Good Shift, the podcast that helps you figure out what's next in your career and make a move with confidence. If you're stuck, doubting yourself, or you need someone to show you that you can actually do the thing you've been thinking about, then this episode's for you. Don't forget to share this episode with a friend if you think it will resonate with them. So I've been looking for the perfect person to talk about a different kind of shift today, a location shift. My guest has been through plenty of career shifts, and we'll dig into those, but we're focusing on her move from one country to another and then back again, because this is such a common thing people either experience or want to experience. And it's a huge life event with so many complexities, whether that's figuring out how to settle in and build a community somewhere new, or moving home again and having to reintegrate into that life, especially when it's from a big city back to somewhere a bit quieter. So my guest and wonderful friend from LA, Maddie Ireland, is an Aussie, as you'll hear, but spent over a decade building a life in LA. So you might also pick up a bit of an American accent in there too. Just recently, she made the big move back to Australia. An intimidating move when you haven't lived there for 10 years, you don't know where in the country you want to settle, and you don't know exactly what you want to do. Maddie is, per her website bio, because I couldn't say it better, an empowerment coach, entrepreneur, speaker, retreat facilitator, community builder, ex-sales exec, and a reformed self-doubter, now living in radical self-trust and guiding others home to theirs. And I absolutely love that line. I'm really excited to dig into this today. So there is no better person to talk us through the practical tips and mindset tools that helped her to manage her big shift. We're diving into what it takes to take risks and put yourself in new situations, how to navigate moving home when you're at a completely different life stage than most of your friends, and the practical realities of starting over in your mid-30s. I know this is going to be a great conversation because Maddie and I got on a pre-call and the chat was so relatable and helpful that I had to shut it down because the conversation was just so valuable about the practicalities of real life and all the stuff that people are actually going through that I couldn't bear us to talk about this unrecorded. So here we are for the proper interview, and we've saved the good stuff for you. Maddie, welcome to Good Shift. It is so good to have you here.
What a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Freya.
Oh, it's great to have you on, reporting in from Sydney. How long have you been back now?
It has been just over 6 months that I've been back in Sydney, but I moved back to Australia a year ago, which is crazy to think I left LA a year ago.
Maddie, take me back to 25-year-old Maddie, which is when you moved to LA. You were about to move. Why did you choose LA? Why did you wait till the age of 25? And what was going on in your life that made you need to leave?
Ooh, 25-year-old Maddie. She just knew there was more. Like, she was living in Sydney, speaking in third person here. So I'm originally from Adelaide. And so when I was 21, I moved to Sydney. And so when I was living in Sydney for about 4 years, and at the time, like, Sydney seemed very exciting. I loved it. There was so much going on. I was like, wow, new experiences. But I hadn't found work that was really fulfilling me. I'd sort of taken the road I thought I should take. You know, I'd studied communications and submajored in psychology, but I was like, didn't really know where that wanted to lead me. I'd done marketing jobs, PR, events. I'd been like a personal assistant. I'd like worked in recruitment, just like kind of changing around and not ever really feeling fulfilled. I'm like, is this it? Like, is this the path? Like, is this all I've got to choose from? These kind of just like standard careers. I'm like, I think there's more out there. And also at the time being in Sydney, I was like, I don't know, partying a lot with our friendship group. It was just like a lot of people that I grew up with. Like, you're just kind of living in this identity that you always have. And when I had finished school, sorry, just to go back, when I was 18 years old, I backpacked around Europe for 6 months. And I knew at that point that I was like, I'm going to be traveling. I'm going to be moving overseas. No matter what, I've got the travel bug. Like, I'm I'm out. So I think by the time I got to my mid-20s, it was almost this pull like, okay, it's kind of now or never. Like if I want to live overseas, I've got to go. So funny to have thought that now, that it's now or never at 25, like to think how young. Anyway, so I was going to America for the first time on a trip, and I was like, I think I'm going to go see if I want to live in New York, and if not New York, it'd be London. And I remember going there and being like, oh my God, it's New York in the middle of winter. This is, oh, I was not prepared at all. And I was like, okay, I don't think I can do this. And then I went to LA, and I just remember riding my bike with shorts and t-shirt, like along Venice Boulevard, like people just like healthy, surfing, hiking, swimming, like drinking green juice, like drinking margaritas out in the sun. I was like, oh my God, this is so it. And genuinely, I went back to Australia and was like, I'm moving to LA. And about 10 months later, and my boyfriend at the time, he wanted to come too. We both moved to LA together.
You moved to LA with your boyfriend at the time, which I'm sure made you feel a bit more secure because you're going there with someone else that you can have this experience with. Did you know anyone else when you moved to LA, or were you starting fresh?
Yeah, so it was really helpful to move countries with a partner, I will say. Um, Knowing that we both wanted to do it, we were like, okay, cool, we're both in this. Like, let's do this together. He knew one person in LA whose wife then became like a friend of mine. So there was this one couple, but no plan, no job, nothing. I was like, okay, I know that I've got the 90-day tourist visa. So I know that I've got 90 days to find a job. And I was like, I can do this. I'll figure it out. And the one couple that we knew, she introduced me to who then became my boss, Brooke at Good Milk, who I worked for and who sponsored me on a visa for 6 years. It took probably about a month. So there was like that first month where I was like going to interviews, and I was like reaching out to people, and I was just like trying my network in any way, like applying for all these jobs and not having any luck. There was certainly some moments of like that I was disheartened. I was like, wow, am I really going to be able to do this? Like this was pretty risky, like moving across the country, just hoping I would find a job. But I think I always knew, like, number one, I could always move back. Like it's okay. If I didn't figure it out, like Australia was always there. Like maybe I'd come back with my tail between my legs, but it was like, it's okay if it doesn't work out. And I think having that like cushion, or knowing that like it's okay if it doesn't work out, allows you to just kind of just give it a go, like not take it so seriously.
Yeah, I really like that. That's such helpful advice because I think a lot of people moving, they feel like they need to have everything set up. So I just want to tap a little bit back into your mindset when you were making the move. You weren't set up at all, like no job, you didn't really have any friends there. And how did you get yourself into the space where you were confident enough to make that move? Do you think that that's something that you've always been an inherently confident and optimistic person about those things? Did you have to, have some chats with yourself or other people to get yourself to that space?
I would say, like, yes, I do have like a level of confidence in the way that I love to meet new people. I love to put myself out there. I'm okay in new environments. And I do think about it though. Like, I'm not, like, I've come so much further now in my life, having like built up my confidence by pushing myself out of my comfort zone time and time again, to now get to a point where I'm like, okay, yeah, I truly feel like I can handle anything. But I don't know if at that time, like 25-year-old Maddie necessarily thought that. I think she was more just naive. Like she was like, okay, I'm just going to give this a go. Like, I know that there's more out there, and I know that I've always wanted to do this. So I just have to do it. I'm more of like a person that I always think there's like the grass is greener. Like there's something more out there, and I like have to know. And if I don't know, then I'll like never feel okay. So it was like this curiosity to like just give it a go. And yeah, moving with a partner is easier. That's, you've got each other's back. So even though like you don't know anyone, you're like, at least we've got each other through this time. Not that that partnership worked out, because like literally 4 months later we broke up, which is another story, and the next chapter. So yeah, I think it was, I had like supportive family friends that were like, Mads, if you want to do it, do it. Like, it's okay. And my parents are super supportive. They're just like, you can do this. Like, go for it, Mads. Like, whatever, you've always wanted more. So go figure it out, kind of thing. So I think having people that believed in me, that I could just give it a go, felt good. And my cousin had moved to New York, and I was like, okay, he's done it. Like, I can do this. Like, people have done this before. Like, what's there to lose?
And what about in terms of setting yourself up financially to go? Did you save money beforehand, or did you just make the move and thought you'll figure it out as you go?
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Like, really thinking back, I mean, I think I saved up maybe $5,000. 5,000 Aussie, which by the way is two and a half
Doesn't translate
grand
well.
US. I was like, this is a rude shock. So yeah, no, I did not go in with savings. And I think when I got my job initially, it was like part-time. Like, I was on the bare bones. Um, like sharing a room in a shared house or whatever, like couldn't afford a car initially. Like, there were a lot of things like that I was just like figuring out as I went. Like, certainly didn't save up a ton of money, certainly didn't have like a master plan, but I just was like, it'll just happen step by step. Like, it's okay.
I love that confidence. And I think that from what I can see of your journey, that's taken you through so well to go into all these different areas, which is really inspiring. So, can you tell us a little bit about those first few months, the reality of actually doing this move? So, new country, new career, starting from zero, what you were feeling at the time and how you moved through that, and sort of anything in there that you learnt from those experiences that would be helpful for other people who are making a big move to a new country for the first time.
Firstly, when I moved there, having moved there with a partner, he initially like went out and joined a football team there because he's an Aussie, and he like then tapped into like a big crew, like a big community of footy players out there, who then like a lot of their girlfriends I started to make friends with. So honestly, like tapping into like a community, like a sports team early on, was helpful. But this is the thing. We were living a life that just didn't feel like mine. Like, we were going to these footy games and we're going out to the pub on the weekends, and we were like doing all the same things that we'd been doing in Australia, but in LA with other Australians. And I was like, I did not come here for this. Like, this is so not it. But like, yes, I'm grateful to have like people here, like at least know some people. Our relationship then came to an end. So I then stepped out on my own. And in terms of like a rocky beginning, like that was tough. I knew deep down that the relationship wasn't for me. And a lot of me was like, oh my God, should I move home? Like, what am I doing? Like, can I handle this? But I like had such a deeper knowing that I needed to stay. I knew, I was like, no, 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 no. The LA, there's more for you here. Like, you need to stay, Maddie. This is your journey. You wanted to be here. And so I stepped out on my own, and I started joining communities that I loved. And I didn't know this at the time, but like, I got into yoga when I was there. I got into surfing. I got into ocean swimming. I got into like meditating. I went to like wellness events. Like, the more people I would meet, I mean, I was having chats with people in like the grocery store and like the farmer's market, like anywhere. I was just chatting to people that I maybe previously would have never been open to have speaking. Like, when you live in your country that you grew up in, you're like, I'm good. I've got all my friends. I don't need to like make friends anywhere. But when you're in a new country and you know no one, you will pick up a conversation with anyone. I mean, I'll speak for myself. I would pick up a conversation with anyone. And magic started to happen from that. Like, someone will be like, oh my gosh, like you should come to this event like that we're doing, or like you should come, I will invite you to like my friend's like potluck dinner or this or that. And I was like, wow. Like, I just started tapping into a community of people that felt so much more aligned with me and what I wanted to be doing, and like living a life that was truly mine. I had shared this expectation of like who I was in my country I grew up in with all the people that I knew. and was like allowing myself to form this new identity of myself that felt truly like me. So it was very expansive, very mind opening. And it just, the more people I met, the more people I opened myself up to, the better it got.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because you can think that you know yourself so well when you've grown up in a certain environment and you stay in that environment. And let's just say, for the sake of this sort of situation, that's Maddie who loves to go to the pub, go out on the weekends, go to the footy games, whatever that may be. And then you don't actually get a chance, if you continue to be surrounded by the same people in the same place, to necessarily find these different growth pieces of yourself, which I think is what's so amazing about moving overseas. And what I'm hearing from you is that you get this chance to sort of step back and see the different paths that interest you. And there is this peeling back because you're suddenly not surrounded by all these people that really make you you and have for so long. And not that that's a bad thing at all, but it does just mean it's a lot harder to find your sort of next self if you feel like you might be outgrowing that form of yourself.
That's so right. Like I remember just feeling like growing up, my friends would know me as like the fun, like party girl. They're like, if you're going out with Mads, you're going to have a good time. Like,
I want to hang out with
drinking.
her.
Oh my God. Yeah, she was fun. And just like drinking a lot of booze, like just really like, I don't know, falling into this identity that was expected. And I think when was able to shed that away, I was like, I actually don't need or want to drink alcohol to have fun, because actually I don't want to shift like who I am. I'm like feel really good in who I am when I'm sober. Like I just want to be me. And I think I like just shifted the way that I was like showing up in a social environment, because I just could.
I can vouch for Maddie that she's extremely fun without the alcohol. Um, and so when you're tapping into these communities, I really like the advice about talking to different people at the grocery store or whatever that may be. I actually had a really similar experience when I first moved to LA as well, where I dropped my AirPod at a cafe. And when you drop an AirPod and it just disappears across the room, and a girl started to help me find it. And I know there's so many memes on that. And a girl started to help me find it. And so I struck up a conversation with her, and she ended up being a good friend of mine. That's really valuable advice for people. And it's so much easier to do when you're not in your own country, because you're not embarrassed. You're like, oh, well, if that doesn't go well, I'll never see them again. But in terms of the communities that you tapped into, you're talking about like the swimming and surfing and those different pieces. How did you find your way into those? It's yoga.
So I would literally just try out local yoga studios. It was like, okay, I'm here in this city. Like, where would I go? And I'd be like, oh, this looks like a cool yoga studio. So I just go to a class there. I'd try a class at another place. I would then like, you'd see like an event on a notice board, like talk about old school, just like it. Yeah, I would just like find these things along the way, and then I'd go to an event, and then maybe I'd meet someone, and then maybe we'd get talking, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I surf." I'd be like, "Oh my God, cool, I want to surf." And then be like, "Yeah, we meet on Friday mornings down here," and I'd be like, "Oh, okay, cool, I'll come meet you." And so it was just like having these conversations of just being like, "Okay, like I'm new here, I want to get involved," and just being like a yes person to the things, like just following the energy of what lit me up.
And if someone is sitting here listening to this thinking, okay, that sounds great, but I'm a bit shy or nervous to spark up those conversations, is there some advice that you can give them?
I totally understand that. Like it might just seem like very overwhelming to just like walk up to someone and start talking to someone. There's there's ways like online. There was always a lot of groups like Aussies in LA on Facebook. Actually, that was a great group to sign up with early on. People were like, posting rooms, posting furniture they're selling, and then they're posting like meetup groups and things like that. And that's like maybe a good way, because everyone going to one of those is like wanting to meet people. So you're like not so far out of your depth that you're like, okay, I'm just going to go to this like organized event or organized social thing. And I'm like, I'm just going to go, and I'm just going to, other people are new as well. So I know that they're in it with me. And I mean, it can be like as simple as what you said, like you drop your AirPod and you just get in a conversation, like things that are not so like you're not walking up to someone in the weirdest way. Start really small with like just like little conversations, like pushing yourself out there to just like open yourself up. People are so kind and willing to, I mean, especially in America, like they were just like, who is this Aussie girl? Like, I want to talk to you. So that made me feel like, oh, people want to talk to me. So it made me want to talk to them more.
Can you recall the lowest and the highest moments of the transition? What the heck have I done moment? Maybe that was when you and your boyfriend broke up, because I can imagine that was a really tough point where you thought that you may want to move back home. And what's this is the best thing I've ever done moment?
Oh my God, I love that. Yeah, I think it was like early on going through that breakup. I remember just being like, oh my goodness, like, what is this where I really want to be? Like, what am I doing? And I, yeah, like just, oh, that's right. So it had been, I'd been, it had been a few months, 2 months since I'd lived in LA, and I went back for that Christmas, that first Christmas back to Australia. And I was with all of my friends, like summer in Australia, Christmas, New Year's, like with my family. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I miss everyone. What am I doing? Like, why am I away from them? Like, meanwhile, it had been a rough few early months in LA, like having just moved there, my relationship being on the rocks, like me not having solidified like a job yet, just not having things in order yet, just knowing that those first few months were really tough. I was like, what am I doing? And getting back on that plane to go back over to LA, I was like, oh my God, like I don't even want to do this. But I just knew deep down I needed to. That was a low point, but I endured. I endured. I listened to the voice that was like, no, Maddie, there is more for you here. You've got to endure this. You've got to stay in this, like keep at it. And so that next year to follow, after I came out of my relationship, when I was finding myself, like really truly tapping into the things that I love to do, and like, yeah, getting the job and like getting my first like place, like, with a new roommate, and like buying my first car there, and just like the moment I got my visa, and just all of those moments of like, I did this, like I created this, like was such a high of like, oh my gosh, I am capable of so much more than I thought. Like I can do this. And I think those moments continued to happen throughout LA, but I think in those early stages it really hit hard because it was the first time that I was like, wow, I can do this. And things continue to get better and better throughout my time there. Like big moments would happen where I was like, oh my God, this is what it was all for. But experiencing it the first time hit really hard.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will be able to relate to that low moment that you had. It can be really hard to settle into a new place. You can be a few months in, not really have made any friends, be struggling for a job or just sort of got a new job. And it can be so, so tough. But I like what you're saying about how you just said to yourself, okay, no, I know there's more here for me. I just need to endure. And getting back on that plane must have been so hard. Like I know those exact feelings. But, look, what came out of it is that amazing 10 years. And I think that's so great for people to look at, that it didn't necessarily all just go super well for you from the start. And yet you managed to build this 10 years that were just like the most insane life experience for you, which we'll get into soon as well. But let's talk a little bit about your job. So you're a sales exec turned, well, and a lot of other things by the sounds of it, turned empowerment coach, retreat facilitator, community builder. You've basically built your own thing instead of following a traditional career path. And you mentioned that right at the start, that you were like wondering, is this all that there is, these sort of conventional preset jobs? So how did that happen?
Okay, when I got to LA and then I got the job with Brooke at Good Milk, I just started as kind of like her right-hand woman. And this was a cold pressed juice startup. And they also made almond milk. And this is like a company I never thought I would work for in Australia. Like I feel like in Australia you want to be, I was like, oh, I have to work for like some big, like, I don't know, like marketing company or finance company or this or that, whatever. I was like working for like a juice startup. But little did I know this was the best thing I could have done, because I got to be so hands-on with the founder. I got to see every step of the way how she grew her business. And I ended up like working my way up to being like, head of sales. And we took it from like a little, like one location in Venice or Mar Vista and a farmer's market stand to being like a national company that was selling to like big cafe chains across America and like New York and San Fran, etc. So being part of this business growth, being really hands-on with a startup, like seeing it all firsthand, I got to see, and Brooke was such a mentor to me because she's like, I'd be like, oh, I don't know how to do that. Or I don't know. I never saw myself as a business owner. I never saw myself as an entrepreneur. I was like, I'm not capable of that. Like, what does that mean? Like, what do you have to do? Like, that feels like a lot. And she just made it seem so easy because she was just like, just do it. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just like, kind of just go for it. And I was like, fuck, this is a bit scrappy. She's like, this is business. You just figure it out. And I was
Oh,
like,
that's such good
okay.
advice.
Totally. And so seeing someone that kind of just cared, like didn't put so much emphasis on it all being perfect and just kind of did it. Like every challenge that we faced, we'd just be like, yeah, cool. All right. So we pivot, we do this, we do that. The amount of pivots I saw, the amount of like times we had to like change our business name, or like we got like the things, just little things that happened along the way, like almost getting shut down by the health department, like so many things that I was like, oh my God, this is the end of the world. But us coming through it made me realize like we're all just figuring it out. Like you just handle it. You just do it. So in that, I then gained the confidence in myself. I was like, oh, I can be a business owner. You just do it step by step. And it also was a big part of me on my health journey. So like throughout the time of working at that company, it was a plant-based milk and juice company. I went plant-based myself. I quit drinking alcohol. I just really prioritized myself. And I will say like my energy levels, like my focus, just everything for me increased dramatically. And I felt capable of doing so much more because I'd really prioritized my health. I then went on to study integrative nutrition just because I was like, oh, this is interesting. I want to learn this. I'm going to do this on the side. And little did I know that actually that would lead me then a couple of years later to then becoming a health coach, which is how I began. But I would say a huge part of it was meeting the right people. Like I met people along the way, like starting with my boss, who was my mentor, to then like meeting people throughout my community and meeting people at wellness events who I would meet someone, I'd be like, oh my gosh, you're amazing. Like, look at what you're doing. Look at what you're creating. And I would surround myself with people like this. And they became expanders for me to help me believe that it was possible, what was possible. I didn't know that any of these kind of jobs that people were doing in LA were even existed. Like, did I think that I could be like a coach, like someone who would get to help people work one-on-one with people or facilitate group programs, etc., where I'm helping people become like the healthiest, best versions of themselves, like step into their power, gain confidence. Like it puts all of my gifts in one. Like I had a sales background, communication, psychology, nutrition, and also just like a very like social person who loves connecting. And I was like, this is all my gifts wrapped up into one. Like this is what I was meant to be doing, like helping people on their journeys, like supporting people. And it just like started to reveal step by step by step throughout my career growth, throughout meeting people along the way, throughout going to these events, these retreats. Then friends of mine were like, Maddie, do you want to get up and do a talk at my like retreat, or do you want to talk at my sales summit, or do you want to do this? And I was like, yeah, okay, like I've never done this before. They're like, yeah, but you've done it, you've lived it. And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, all right, I'll do it. And I just kind of got up and talked in front of people. And then from that, people came up to me and they're like, oh my God, I love how you said this. So when you do this, like, did you do this? Like, can I like work with you? Can I talk to you? And I was like, yeah, okay. Like we could talk every week on Zoom. And then next thing I was just started signing up clients. So it's like it just started to come to me. I was like, oh, this is exactly what I need to be doing. And it just revealed and I let it and I put myself in the right positions and I couldn't ignore it anymore.
That is such a cool story, and it's really relatable for people as well. So thank you for taking us through it, sort of from the good milk to where you've got to now, because I think people can see the way you've done that and envisage that for themselves, especially how you have been really open about how you were feeling in that certain times, feeling like you couldn't be an entrepreneur and these different things. When you took the good milk job at the start, did you see that for what it could be for you? Or was it just like, I'm desperate, I need a job, this is the one I've got for right now?
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. I had no idea what that was going to turn out to be. Like, I was literally went into like the storefront and interviewed, and I was like, I'm not even sure what I'm interviewing for. Like, I think I was maybe just going to be her like personal assistant. And she's like, I just need some help. And I was like, yeah, cool. Like I can do, I'm like hands on. I've worked in marketing. I've done events. I've done like a personal assistant. Like I can figure things out. Like I'll do it. And she, who hired me, reckons that like she thought there was nothing about me that seemed like I didn't have a visa, I didn't have a car, I didn't like there were so many reasons why she's like, you were so not someone I like should have hired, but like you, something about me was like, this girl has something that I'm drawn to and I want her in my business. And so she just said yes. She's like, yeah, whatever, I'll sponsor you. I was like, oh my God, amazing. And that taking me to New York, taking me to San Fran, helping me step into this like whole new version of myself, like doing sales. And I loved doing sales because I was so passionate about the product. And I really believed that this healthier product was helping people. And so that was like, I'm selling a lifestyle here. Like I'm helping people become healthier versions. Like that brought so much value to my life because I was like, oh, I can sell if I really believe in it. So that means like now like I can sell my product, which is like me working with people, coaching with me, because I truly believe I know this will help you like and change your life. So like I don't even have to sell. I'm like, you're just showing people the way.
And just going back a little bit, I wrote this down. You were talking about expanders, and I've heard you mention expanders a few times in this interview. And then I know that that's been a part of your past as well. Can you define for the audience what an expander is to you and how you think that is so critical to, some of the things that you've done?
An expander is someone who allows you to see and believe that more is possible. Someone that takes you from believing one thing to like believing another thing more. Like, oh my gosh, there is more out there. I'm capable of more. Look what they've achieved. Look what they're doing. I aspire to be like that. And I'm going to push myself further. Like they open up opportunities because they're helping you see what's possible.
And how do you identify an expander?
Someone who inspires you, someone who you meet and you're like, oh, wow, cool. I love what you're doing. I love the way you think. I love your like perspective. Certain people live with this like zest for life, this like ambition, this joy, this like they see the positive, they see the opportunity, they see a challenge and they're like, oh, we can overcome that. They're just pushing themselves outside of their comfort zone. And to them, it might seem easy, but to you, it might actually be like, oh my gosh, if they can do that, why can't I do that? And so they're just allowing you to see what's possible.
What's the sort of key to making use of expanders, I guess? Like, if you find an expander and is it spending time with these people, is it using them as mentors, like how have you used expanders to help you?
Yeah, I can think of a few key expanders in like my LA journey. I mean, there was so many, but so actually our mutual friend Meredith, I would say was a really big expander for me. So when I met her at a swim club one morning, like we're going for an ocean swim. And I was like, who's this girl? And at that time, she owned her kombucha company, her alcoholic kombucha company. And I knew she was stepping into coaching. And I just was like, this girl's like doing things. Like she started her own business. She's becoming a coach. She'd gone to Harvard. I just thought she was really smart, really personable, really funny, like great energy. And I was like, I feel drawn to her. Um, Little did I know, like a year later, I would be working with her in her women's group program, and she became my coach. And I was just super inspired by her. That was a massive catalyst for me stepping into like another version of myself, like starting my business, etc.
People are probably going to start to think that Meredith is sponsoring this podcast or something, because this is
She
like
gets
the
mentioned all the
fourth,
time.
or she gets mentioned all the time, and it's because she's an expander. It's because
Yes,
it's so right. So
she's an amazing connector as well. Like she knows everyone and she sees people and she brings them together.
yeah, people need to go find their own version of a Meredith, because it's great to have
True.
her.
She's a gift.
Okay, so for someone wanting to start their own coaching, advisory, or service business, what are the key things to think about in terms of building a client base and putting yourself out there for someone who's starting at ground zero?
I mean, Heck, not to say that my recipe was like the best recipe, but this is what worked for me. And like I said before, I was lucky enough to get opportunities to speak at some events and like get in front of audiences. So if there's ways for you to get in front of audiences and start small, like my first one, I spoke in front of maybe, maybe 20 people, then maybe 50 people, maybe then 100 people. And like, I was nervous, like speaking in front of people, like really nervous. And I was like, what do I have to say that is of any value? Also, offering your services to friends and people in that you know that might friends of friends like in your circles that might benefit, but also would be like a great test client. Like get clear on like what your ideal client would look like, and then ask if you can work with people. And like you're kind of offering maybe for free in the beginning, or like cheaper services, or maybe it's a trade of some sort, to just like get that practice in. And then if they have a good experience, ask them to refer you to people. So it's like you're just like giving as much of yourself, practicing as much as you can, because it's all building confidence. Like the difference between me being like, okay, I'm going to be a coach. I was like, okay, so how do I get clients? To then like having an opportunity where I spoke in front of people and people coming to me I was like, oh, you just have to get in front of someone. You just have to feel that they want what you've got. And then you're like, okay, let's talk, let's exchange money, and I've started a business. Also putting yourself out there on social media, like both the bane of my existence and like the thing that I'm also the most grateful for, because how lucky are we that we have this free platform that we can show up on that allows us to just put ourselves out there, and that people can see what we've got to offer, and the right people will find us, and also maybe they won't, but you've being able to express yourself and the work that you do and putting it out there online is a great way to do it. I will say. Sorry, go.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even have a website for 2 years into my business. Like I was scrappy. Like I was literally just like getting clients through friends and referrals, and like some would come through on Instagram and not, but like I wasn't like none of it felt like, okay, I'm a legitimate business, I'm opening my doors now. Like it was just like step by step.
I think the key theme through a lot of the things you're saying, whether it's through your shift or getting your first job or setting up your coaching business, is just putting yourself out there and really backing yourself to do it. Same with getting on social media and these different bits and pieces. And that sort of leads me to my next question, which is you now coach people through burnout, stuckness, major life transitions, whatever that may be. So what's the biggest block that you see in people who want to make a change but can't pull the trigger, or want to do something and like take that next step but just can't get themselves over the edge?
It's self-belief, and in that it's limiting beliefs. Like so many people, they're like, I want to start a business, or I want to move countries, or I want to, you know, get out of this relationship, or I want to find my partner, but like, what if I can't? Or like, I don't have enough money to do it, or like I need to save up to do it first, or like I need to get like all these things that people think they like have to do in order to have the thing. And ultimately that's just a limiting belief. So it's like, okay, actually, like, how can you be so incredibly like grateful and proud of yourself for what you have right now and what you have created, and knowing that like all the things you've done to get to where you are, like you can get to the next step. I will say, like, in that, finding people that believe in you, and maybe this is like also tapping into like the expanders, is huge. Because, and I think of this analogy in the gym, I've really been getting into weights lately. I'm like really pushing myself with my resistance training, and I will like look at a certain weight and I'm like, I can't lift that. There's no way. Like that's too heavy. Right. And so you kind of like, you go to like pick up the weight, and in that initial moment of like picking up this heavy weight, you're like, oh no, I can't do that. No, can't do that. And you kind of step away. And I also relate it back to like your nervous system is trying to keep you safe. It's like, okay, no, you're pushing your edge. Like that feels uncomfortable. Like don't do that. Like stay safe. Right. But ultimately, if you can be like, no, like I can do this, and it helps to have people who believe in you. Luckily, my partner is an exercise physiologist and he also trains me. And he's like, Maddie, you can lift that weight. And I'm like, okay, he believes in me. I can do this. And I pick up that weight and I'm like, I can do this. And even though there's like pain and fear in the beginning, you break through it and you're like, oh, I can do that. And just like anything, like putting yourself out there, like that first video you post online, that first email that you send out to a database, so stressful. Those like first moments that you're like, your whole body is tensing up, like, I don't want to do this. Your nervous system just being like, no, you just got to do it. You just got to freaking do it. Like you push yourself and it's just like a muscle that you train and you practice and it doesn't feel like I still get so uncomfortable and nervous before I'm like going to create a reel and post it online or like send an email. I'm like, oh, what do I want to do? But like every time I do it, I'm like, oh, that feels good. I've got this. Like I can do this.
Yeah, totally. That's such a good feeling. And I think, something that everyone can relate to in some sense. But, you know, a lot of people forget that all these people have gone and set up their own things or put themselves out online or made a change of any sort. It's been bloody uncomfortable for them as well. The difference is that they've actually pushed through that feeling of being uncomfortable, which is why it's really great to talk to you and other people about how you have made that change, because I really like that analogy to the weights. It's something most people I think can relate to. Like you're looking at the weight and you're like, there's absolutely no fucking way I can lift that. And then a month later, you've gone up the next level of weight and you've sort of already forgotten that like that one was even that hard. And it's such a good feeling. And I remember so clearly still, because it's only been recently for me, doing like even setting up my Instagram account for Good Shift, for example. Like it's really scary because you're like setting something up with 0 followers. Maybe you'll have 0 forever. And you let the anxieties, I think, really take over you. Like, what if this bad thing happens? Rather than sort of like the positives of what are these good things that are going to happen if I actually do this.
Yeah.
Which takes me sort of to my next question as well. Is like, what's one mindset shift that you think creates the most change in clients? So we've talked about, people being stuck, and what's a mindset shift that you sort of encourage to make that flip?
It's, I would say, I mean, the mindset is so powerful. And I would say it's the reframing what you have in your life, the way you see it, the perspective of how you see your life now, reframing it to see it in a different way. So, for example, and this is a mindset reframe I put out on Instagram, and this is when I had just moved back to Australia. And I was like, I have just moved back to Australia. I feel like I'm starting all over again. I'm 35. I'm single. I'm living with my mum. I'm like literally like I'm building my clientele from scratch again. And I just feel like, what the hell am I doing? And then I was like, do you know what, Maddie? Like and those were thoughts going through my head. Like I was having to battle with this because I was like seeing my friends living their amazing lives, like already set up. And I was like, okay, I'm comparing myself. But I was like reminding myself, okay, this is what you teach your clients, the reframe. You are 35. You have learned so much along the way. You know who you are. You know what you want. You've been on an incredible journey. You're coming back to Australia as like this new and improved version of yourself. How lucky are you that you have a mum that will like look after you, family that supports you to live with, and you're single, girl. You get to choose an amazing, you don't know what the future looks like, but he could be incredible. And you get to like build community. You get to put yourself out there. You don't know what it looks like, and it could be even better than you imagined. Like you have a blank canvas to work on. And when I talk my clients through this like reframe, they're able to just see all the things they have like in a more positive light. And it's powerful because when you come from this place of like gratitude, of joy, of all of these things, like a positive mindset, it just shifts the way you show up. you can actually like step in with more power, with more confidence.
That's so true. And, I keep reading these different things about how gratitude actually changes the brain. And I will be sitting there like doing a meditation or something, and then I will start to think about the various things that I'm grateful for on a bigger scale and a smaller scale. And you can actually feel your body relax when you do that. It's so powerful. And I love the way you reframed about your mum as well. How lucky you are to have a mum that wants to take you in and care for you at that point, because I know it's a lot of people's nightmare when they're 35 to go back and end up living back with their parents. A lot of people see that, oh, okay, like I've failed, what's gone wrong here? Whereas, that's obviously not the case at all. And I love that you're able to give this example. And I know you've got something to say, so I'll let you say that. And then I'm very excited to dig into your shift back to Australia.
Well, no, because I think that's going to be your next question. So I'm going to wait patiently.
Okay. Well, I want to talk about the big shift back to Australia, because we talked about the shift to LA, and then you've been there for 10 years and you're making this big shift back. You've told us that you're 35, you're single, you didn't really know where you wanted to live. You're moving back in with your mum, and you weren't quite sure how you were going to set up your coaching business and different things once you got back. So that sounds terrifying. Can you sort of take us back to there? Let's start with how you actually made that leap to go back to Australia in the first place, having all this other stuff looming ahead of you when you had this amazing life set up in LA.
Oh my gosh. Leaving LA after a decade was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And I've never, I wouldn't say I've never felt more sure, but I knew. I was like, okay, I'm ready. And not that you're ever ready, but I think there was just this like knowing, there was this pull. So when I moved to LA firstly when I was 25, I was like, oh, I'll just be here for like a couple of years and then I'll move back to Australia. Like I just, a couple of years. Yeah, right. It takes you at least 3 years to get settled in LA, maybe in other cities. Like there are a hard few years that I put in initially, but like I said, I kept having that voice being like, you've got to stay here. But every year after that, it kept getting better and better. And like I said, I was meeting expanders, opportunities were coming in, amazing things were happening, amazing travel. Just like had built incredible friendships, was living an amazing life, living in Venice Beach, just living like my dream life. Truly. I was like, I am so lucky to be living this life. And then, but deep down, I knew that I always wanted to move back to Australia. I was like, I can see myself raising a family in Australia, being closer to my family. Of course, I have amazing friends here that I grew up with, and it's an amazing lifestyle in Australia. Like, I knew I wanted to be here. Every year, I was like, okay, is this the year I move back to Australia? And I was like, no, is this the year I move back to Australia? And I was like, kind of forcing it. I was like, okay, maybe I'll move back and then move back then. And then I was like, Maddie, just fucking surrender. Just like be here now. Like you are here. Like I felt the pressure because mum really wanted me to move home. Like every conversation we'd have, she'd be like, darling, so when do you think you're going to move back to Australia? And I'm like, Mum, I love you, but I need you to stop asking me that. Like I just need to live my life. Like I just need to be here now because I'm 1 foot in and 1 foot out and it's not doing me any favors. So I think when I just like fully surrendered, I'm like, I am here and I'm going to give it my all while I am here and like put my all in jobs, in relationships, in friendships and act like this is my life forever. It was helpful because I was actually able to like achieve so much more. And it got to a stage where I was like, okay, I'll move home once I've like achieved this, once I've like earned this amount of money, once I've got my business to this level, once I've traveled to all of these places and ticked off these. And I kept being so like in my head about these like I like structured. I have to achieve this. I have to achieve that. Force. Until I was like, why does any of it matter? Like you have the whole rest of your life to live. You can do all of those things. Like money will come, your business will grow wherever you are. Like you can come back and travel. Like what does it matter? Just like trust, like just go with the flow. And I just like slowed down. I tapped into myself. I listened to like what my intuition was telling me. And it got to a stage where I was like, I actually feel deeply drawn to Australia more so. Like every trip I would go back, each time I was like finding it harder and harder to leave. And back in LA, I was starting to feel a bit like, I don't know, I was like lacking excitement for it. It's like it just started to be this shift, like really small shift that I started to listen to and feel. I was like, I think it's just my time. Like there's never going to be a perfect time, but I think I've just got to listen to this intuition that it's time to move home. And I gave myself a year. I was like, okay, this time next year I'm moving home. Like this is the date. I was like, just saw it in my vision, and it was the same. No, it wasn't exactly the same date, but it was like the same month, exactly 9 years prior that I'd moved there. And just like, I was like, I'll have my goodbye party, I'll have my birthday, and then I'm leaving. Like, I'm just going to make a big deal of this, and then I'm going to go. And once I like set that intention, it was like, okay, cool. Everything's just going to come together now, and it's just going to work out. And I knew.
Did you feel a sense of relief almost once you'd chosen a date?
Yeah, that honestly, yes. Thank you for saying that. That moment of making a decision, it was like a deep exhale. I was like, oh my God, finally, I'm not just like, am I going to be here? Am I going to be there? I was like, I'm here now for one more year, and then I'm going to be in Australia. So I'm going to have the best last year of my life in LA, and I am going to move back to Australia knowing that I feel so good, so ready, so complete. And I did that. And that last year, I ticked off so many things from my bucket list. Like I gave it my all. I really showed up knowing that it was my last year. Oh my gosh. And I knew moving back to Australia was going to be hard initially. Like going from living in Venice Beach to then living in Adelaide Hills with mum, like it's very quiet there. You're not like walking to like local like yoga studio or like the gym or like going to swim club on any morning like down at Venice Beach. You're not like bumping into people. I was alone. So it was a really tough transition, but I'd mentally prepared myself knowing that like it was going to get better, and this was like the part that I needed to do in between.
Can you talk us through your experience of that and how, even though it was tough, you knew that this was just a phase, and how that sort of got you through that?
Moving back, I knew I had November, December, and I was like, I'm going to spend Christmas with my family. So it makes sense for me to like stay at mum's house through this period. And I'll just get back on my feet in terms of just like, yeah, the move back is expensive. It's like I needed to build up my client base. Like there are a lot of things that needed to come together, and I was still deciding where I wanted to live. Like I was back in Adelaide with mum, but I knew that I wanted to either move back to Sydney, or I was even thinking like maybe I should move to Byron, maybe I should move like somewhere up the east coast of Australia. Like I don't know. I think I'm going to like travel, explore for a bit. So well, I will say also, firstly, I came back and I knew this was going to be brutal, but I was like, okay, I'm 35 and I'm single, and I know that I want to have babies. So I actually went and froze my eggs that within like the first month of being back, which was brutal. Emotionally, the hormones, I was, it was a tough month. Like not only was I, yeah, like coming off the back of the best like year of my life in LA and the like a goodbye month of just like a high, I was then like not like really not feeling well and like not able to move that much, and like mum was like looking after me, and I was like, but I kept saying, how lucky am I that I am able to do this, and that I'm have this choice that I can at least have a fallback on period. Like I have this, and this is what I'm choosing to do for myself. So I had to keep reminding myself that this was the choice for my future. Once I recovered from that, I was like, okay, I'm going to go to do some travel and explore and see where I want to live or in Australia. And funny, my mum was like, because I'd surprised my mum when I moved back. She didn't know I was moving back, and she just thought I was coming back for a trip. And so she was like, oh my God, Maddie, you've surprised me. You're now living with me. Like she was just over the moon, to the point that she goes, Maddie, I've decided I'm going to retire now. And do you want to go on a road trip together, and we can go explore Australia together? She's like, I'm just putting it out there. You don't have to do it. I was like, wait. This vision I had of me being like a solo traveler in a van, like single gal, just like going and like meeting my man in Byron Bay and like setting up my life together. I was like, I'm now going to be with my mom. But something was like telling me that, like, when am I ever going to have this opportunity to do this again? Like, I don't have like a partner. I don't have a family. I have spaciousness right now to do this. My mom is wanting to retire and do this with me. So mum and I spent 2 months together in a van driving up the east coast of Australia together. I swear to God, it was the best. We bonded so deeply. Like, we were just like, we shared a bed, like a king bed in the back of this van. We'd be up every night giggling, like drinking tea, telling each other stories. Like, I'd never heard all these stories that mum told me of like her rebellious past. And I was like, now I know so much more about you. It was the most beautiful bonding experience. I like pushed mum out, like out of her comfort zone. I made her go to yoga classes. I made her come do ocean swims with me. She's like, Maddie, I can't believe you're making me do this. But she like loved it. And it was, oh my God, so special. Like, so special to have that time with her and like reconnect with family. And I was like, oh, this is what it's for. Like, you know, I was meant to come back to Australia and be closer to my family again. Like, this was important.
Yeah, you trusted the process, and the process really took you along on the way. And it's so special as well, that you called that out. We can definitely get very much in our heads around everything that we need to be doing at this age. I guess from like 20 to, I don't know, maybe 40, it feels like this frantic time where you feel like you have to achieve all these things. But also, it's a time when parents are aging. So if you are close with your family or lucky enough to still have your parents around, it's really special to be able to spend that time.
Yeah, and I remember so vividly a friend, an Aussie guy. We had this conversation in Venice one morning at the farmers market. We bumped into each other, and I was like, "Oh, would you ever move back to Australia?" It was always a question that you asked other Aussies overseas, and he's like, "Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Like, I've been over here for a long time, but I think about it." He's like, My parents have 20 more years to live, and I went back once a year every Christmas and saw them. I would only see them ultimately like on 20 more times, like 20 more trips. And
That's a grim realization, isn't it?
I was like, that hit me so deep. I was like, that was so brutal of you to say that. Anyway, so do I think there's value in living away from home? Absolutely. Would I recommend it to everyone? Absolutely. And if you feel the pull to like move back home, like, and be around your family, also listen to that. And I just felt like the right time for me. So I was grateful. But in answer to your question, like, yeah, that time was hard because I was coming like LA is Peter Pan land. Everyone's like either like single or doing their thing, working on their business, traveling here, traveling there, or like they're not necessarily close to having babies, or maybe they are, but they're also doing like all these other things. It's incredible place to be. Anything goes. Moving back to Adelaide was interesting because my friends there were like very settled, married, multiple children, like renovating houses. And like when I came back, I was invited to like 2-year-old birthday parties. And I'm like looking around, I'm like one of the only single people. And I was like, oh my God, fuck. What have I done with my
Yeah,
life?
that's such a shock coming from LA, where, as you say, anyone's just doing anything goes. You don't have that sort of feeling that you're behind or doing things differently because everyone's doing things differently.
Yeah, exactly. And I think so many people can resonate with this of like going back to their hometowns and like seeing people who have stayed there and the lives they've built, and
Totally.
both having these feelings of like, oh my God, I don't want that, and being like, oh my God, but like I guess I do want a family one day, and like when's that going to happen for me? So I was in this like mental turmoil through this stage of being like, Maddie, remember who you are, remember the amazing experiences you've had, who you've become, everything. Like, this is all coming for you. You just like, you had to move back here and be ready, like, to choose this life. Like, you were on your journey of like your career growth, your personal growth, traveling, everything, like life experiences, and now you're coming back to Australia because you want to have a family, because you want to settle here, because you want to create a life here. And your life can be amazing. It will be amazing, but trust the process. So that was like my reminder every time. And then after all that road trip with my mum of like literally seeing the entire east coast of Australia, trying to decide where I live, I was like, I think I just want to live in Sydney. And so I literally then was like, okay, April this year, I was like, I'm moving to Sydney. And I chose a day and I just did it and made the decision.
And that's yet another big move for you. I mean, obviously you knew people in Sydney and everything like that, so it wasn't such a shock as when you moved to LA. But what's it been like since you moved to Sydney, and how have you built up your communities? And I know that, there's been a lot of exciting things happen for you since you moved to Sydney. How have you gone about making those all come to you?
It's so wild. When you make a decision for yourself and you are like, okay, I'm going all in on this. Like, I fully trust that this is right for me. Magic happens. Like, I was like, okay, I am here now. I've arrived. Like, let's freaking go. Like, of course I fucking miss my friends in LA. Of course I miss my lifestyle there. Like, yeah, like it was amazing. But I was like, but I'm going to make the absolute best of this because I've chosen this. I'm so lucky that I have the ability to make choices for myself and that I can create a life and that I also had family network here. My uncles live here in Sydney. My sister and her partner live here in Sydney. I have amazing like old friends who live here. And being an ocean swimmer and having like had an ocean community in LA and knowing how important they were to me, every time I'd come back to Sydney to visit when I was back here for Christmas, I would go out and just swim with these people because I knew any morning of the week you go down to Bondi Beach at like 6 a.m. and there'll be 300 people doing an ocean swim. Like
Crazy.
you want community, like, oh my gosh. Like, I mean, obviously not everyone loves ocean swimming, so, but like going out and surfing, going out and like going for a beach run, like going and doing a boot camp, like there, like anything you want, it's happening. Go to a run club, like oh my gosh, you can meet and plug in and meet so many people so easily once you realize like and open up your mindset to that. So I would just go out 3 mornings a week down to Bondi and just go to swim club. I just rock up and I was like, hey, I'm Maddie, just moved back to Sydney, like, hi. And I just met people. I feel I have this ability to just like feel this energy when I meet someone. I remember meeting like a handful of people, but like a couple in particular that I was like, you are amazing. Who are you? I need to know you. And they are now 2 women who are like incredible friends to me. And we're so aligned. Like I found amazing, amazing friends that I purely just met at swim club and was just drawn to. So show up and go and do the thing that you love doing. And also like if you don't know what you love doing, like try new things. Like I wasn't necessarily an ocean swimmer. Like I just decided to be one. I was like, I love the ocean. I'm just going to go and swim and build community. And it was just a perfect way to meet people.
I can see, and we've talked about that you are naturally like a more confident person, but you didn't start having all of this that you have now, and a lot of that's compounded. And I think that's so important for people to know. Like it takes work to do this stuff, putting yourself out there. I'm sure even when you went to the swim club in Bondi, even after you've done all these transitions and you've put yourself into all these communities, you're still standing there a bit like looking around, feeling like a bit of that awkward person. And like it doesn't necessarily always get 100% easy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Let me be clear. Like it wasn't easy necessarily. Like there were moments where I was like, oh my God, I feel lonely. I feel a bit like, oh my God, I'm an outsider. Like, am I going to find my people? Like, I've just having like felt so deeply entrenched in friendships and community to then going to just being like, I'm like starting again and kind of feeling like, yeah, feeling like a little bit of a loner, rocking up on my own and just being like, hi, like trying to like start conversations, but also like, yeah, just like showing up again and again until people started to recognize me and talk to me. Like, like I wasn't going up to every person and being like, hi, be my friend, like I just would show up and it just naturally happened. But I will say through this period, like it wasn't like I just moved to Sydney and it was all magic. Like I was continuing to show up like these 3 mornings a week swimming in Bondi. I was every day, like leaning into my practices. Like I was really keeping up my movement. Like I got on ClassPass and tried out every single local yoga studio, Pilates studio, gym in the area. Like every single one. I was like, is this my vibe? Nah. Is this my vibe? Yeah. Like I was like trying everything. I would go for daily walks. Like I needed my mindfulness walks. I was spending hours walking a day. I swear to God. Like just walking through like different areas, different suburbs, different parks, different places, just to like get my bearings, to ground down, to just like explore, to just like take that time for myself, to just be like, okay, you're here. And I just remember so many walks where I was just in my head of being like, oh my God, Maddie, like, what is this? You've thrown your life upside down. Like, you're starting all over again. Like, what are you doing? Like, are you going to find your partner? Like, what's your life going to look like? You're getting close to 36. Like, these things still run through my mind. Like, even as a coach, like, I have to use my tools daily to bring myself back, of like grounding myself, deep breaths, like reframe, gratitude. Okay, you've got this. Like, you've proven it before, you can do it again. And I think that was a big one. Like, knowing that I'd done it before, I was like, can do this. You are capable. I'm like my own like biggest cheerleader in my head constantly. Like I talk to myself a lot.
Yeah, I love that. You're so inspiring and amazing. And it's really nice how you're sharing all of this, the sort of raw stuff of, the ups and the downs, because it's so important for people to understand. And, you're talking about putting yourself out there, showing up, showing up. Tell us how that applied to dating.
Oh my gosh. I never thought this would be my dating story. Do you know, I think if I looked back, if like 25-year-old Maddie heard this dating story, she'd be like, oh my God, Maddie, that's so embarrassing. But now I honestly I feel proud. I always thought I would meet my guy just like organically. Like, I'm going to meet him walking along the street. I'm just going to like meet him at the grocery store. I'm going to meet him swimming, surfing, whatever. Nah, girl got back to Sydney and she got on Hinge. I was like, I am going to date and I'm going to give it my all. And maybe I'll meet him on Hinge, maybe I won't. But whatever I do, I'm getting back into it and I'm going to practice dating. Because I realized I hadn't like been intentionally dating for a long time. In LA, I was like, I know I'm not going to be here forever. So I'm not intentionally dating to meet my person, which kind of, they were my prime dating years. So I kind of look back, I'm like, wow, Maddie, like, what were you doing? But I was focusing on myself and my career. So I feel good about that. Anyway, got back to Sydney, got on Hinge, and I took that very seriously. I was like, I like was meticulous with my profile. I was like, I want to be seen as the girl that I know, my truest version of myself. I want someone to look at my profile and be like, whoa, this girl is active, she's healthy, she's like got a zest for life. Like all the things that I want to put out, like are the kind of person that I want to attract. So I was like very clear about that. I was also very, very determined. I was going on 3 or 4 dates a week.
People are like, what's your new job, Maddie? And you're like, it's dating.
Dating. It was
Full
a job.
time.
I took it seriously. It's actually crazy. I like almost to the point I was like, you want to meet someone. So like before I get so immersed in this life here and like have a lot of friends and a lot of social commitments, I'm just gonna like sneak in as many dates as I can to just like while I've got time for it. I was almost like laying low from like friends so I could like date, which I've never done that before. I've always been like friends, live my life, do my thing, but I was like, nah, I'm doing this. And I also wrote a vision board. And like also kudos to Meredith for this one. This is like an exercise she gave us in our coaching program, which is like ideal scenes where you write like I am, and then you write all the things that like you want, but like you as if you already have them. Like I am running a multi-million-dollar business. I am immersed around community. I'm like living in a beautiful home here. And I did it for my partner. I was like, he is like the most loving, like caring, positive man. Like he makes me feel like I can be the truest version of myself. He has a zest for life. Like he is like so like feels so passionate about his health and like adventure, and he's open to growth and all of these things, right? I got like really clear on what it is that I wanted. Literally date number 11. I met this guy. I will say I didn't on the first day, I wasn't like, "Oh my god, you're my guy." But I was like, "Okay, you are lovely. This is a really nice conversation." And I feel so relaxed. I feel so at peace and I feel like I can be so myself. And I just feel like, "Whoa, this was so easy. Like I could just talk to you and walk forever." And he's like, "Okay, cool. Do you want to go for dinner on Thursday night?" I was like, "Yeah." And then it was like, okay, whoa, all right. Now I'm like, I see him and I'm attracted to him. Okay, and like up leveling. And every day it was just like, you want to do this? Do you want to do that? You want to catch up again? It was just like no brainer. Yeah, like, yeah, this just feels good. Until like 1 month later, we realized we're both traveling to Bali at the same time. So we ended up spending 10 days in Bali together. Like, then the next thing, like, we're official, we're in love, we're both saying every single thing that we want. We're like, everything's out on the table. Yep, I want to have kids. Yeah, I want to start a family. Like then, yeah, I want to like live here. Yeah, I want to do this. Like, so open about everything we want, how we want to live our lives. Like nothing, no stone has been unturned. We've talked about everything. It's all out on the table. And I know maybe that sounds unromantic, but like, I think when you're mid-30s, when you know what you want and you're so clear on it and you both align on it, it feels so fucking good because you're like, oh my God, we both want the same things. And like, I found someone that wants to create this life with me and I can see the vision for it. And this feels so good. And I feel so secure in this relationship because there's no questions. It's like, I can just be myself and I can just like live and be happy. And it's better than I could have imagined. Like truly, I've met this partner that I'm like, I cannot believe, and we keep saying this. He's like, you had to stay in LA for 9 years and then come back and meet you then, because if you'd moved back early, you might have met someone else and this and that. Like this was the moment that we were ready for each other to meet each other and ready to step into this next chapter of life together. But he's like, but damn, I wish I knew you a long time ago. And I was like, yeah, me too. But it was all meant to be this way.
Oh, it's such a good love story, and I'm so happy for you. I think it's obviously tough, especially moving back to Australia where so many of your childhood friends are settled down and have their partners and everything, and you had to go through all that piece of freezing your eggs as well, knowing that you wanted kids. But just what I see from you is just forcing yourself when I know it would have been so hard because, you know, when you want something, it's easy to just sort of go out with desperation around you, whether it's like really wanting a job or really wanting a boyfriend or a partner or whatever that may be. But I think, you know, what came up in the intro I did about you is that radical self-trust that you are coming back to and grounding yourself in and knowing that things are going to work out for you, but not if you sit on your ass and just think, oh, poor me, these are the things that aren't quite right. I'm really taking away these things that you are reframing what is so positive about the situation. And there is so much, like, you know, you've had the most amazing experience overseas, things that like most people will never get. You're coming back, and there's actually that story that you told me when we were chatting last time where you bumped into a friend.
We bumped into each other on my travels and I was like, oh my God, I haven't seen you in so long. I was like, what's going on with your life? She's like, I'm married. I've got 3 kids like this. And I was like, oh my God, wow. I'm like jealous. You're like so settled. You've got like your husband, you've got kids. Like I'm so ready for that chapter. And she's like, girl, are you kidding me? I'm jealous of you. You've like lived abroad. You've done all the things, like your life, like you've had all of these experiences and now like you have an opportunity to create what you want to create next. And I was like, yeah, okay, thank you for helping me see it like that. But and like I helped her see her situation as positive. Like sometimes you just need that. And a month later, she's like, yeah, we just got a divorce, and now I've got to figure it all out. And I was like, holy shit! Like you never know how someone's life can look like when you see it from the outside. Like you don't truly know. And that was such a reminder of like, don't compare yourself to others because you don't know what it's really like. Like you just have to trust that your journey was the journey that's for you and that like you're going to be fine.
Yeah, and you've gone and you've put these building blocks in place to make things happen for you. I think we'll go through a few closing questions just to wrap up if that works. But before we do, is there anything else you wanted to say on that piece?
No, that feels great.
Amazing. Okay, well, what's next for you, Maddie? Now that you know you sound like you've got a lot of building blocks in place, do you have a forward vision?
Yeah. So I swear I heard this the other day. It's just like this ripple effect when like something shifts in your life, like it can be the catalyst for like so many other things like falling into place. And, you know, I know my bigger vision. I know like I love my work. I work one-on-one with clients as an empowerment coach, like really helping them like step into their power, like find their confidence, like believe in themselves to achieve the things that they want to achieve, and like helping them like work through those like negative thought patterns, those limiting beliefs, to like get through to the other side and like prioritize their health, because that's such a huge piece, which I really like. That's such a big foundation that you need first and foremost. So like that, I know that that's like my purpose and my passion is like really helping people on that journey. And that's through one-on-one and also through like group coaching. And I'm reaching more people through hosting these events that I'm doing, like just local events, women's empowerment events. And ultimately, I want to be hosting retreats here in Australia, but also globally. And it's incredible because my partner, who is an exercise physiologist, and he has an amazing client base that come and see him every single week. And he trains them, and that's a lot of like maintenance and like injury prevention, etc. But he's got clients that have been with him for like 10 plus years, and they just adore him. And he has introduced me to them as like, you know, the health, wellness, mindset coach. And we ultimately want to start building retreats together for a lot of his clientele. And it's just like, I could have never imagined that I would be like planning to like run retreats with my partner, like back in Australia. It's like everything has just come together, and I see the future vision, and it's amazing. And then like, yeah, like all the things just be like, I can't, like, I see, even though I'm here and I see the vision, like where I'm actually going to live in Sydney and like what it's all going to look like. But right now, I feel like I'm living it, like really, truly, like have this amazing relationship, have amazing friendships that I'm building this in business, and it's in such an exciting stage. And every day I'm looking after myself, just getting down into the ocean, getting out into nature, walking, moving, and really looking after myself. And that's like, I think that's all that really matters, is just like actually starting to dial things back and like simplify and like live a way that just feels so, you just feel so at peace and so fulfilled.
And what does your definition of success look like now to how it looked maybe 5 or 10 years ago?
It's so funny because I was literally saying this. I was thinking about this. If I'd never moved to LA, and if I'd just stayed on the path, like 25-year-old Maddie had just stayed in Sydney, she'd probably be working in corporate. Like I think I'd probably be working in like maybe like some exec role in like some business in the city here in Sydney. I'd probably be like married to some like, I don't know, some like booze hound, like some guys just like loves the beer. Just we'd be going out on weekends to pubs, like going to sports games, just like living the way that I was definitely on a trajectory for here in Sydney. And I just don't know if I would have been like as connected to how I am now. Like what I see now, it's like if you can feel fully present in your life, like really truly present, like aware of your surroundings, like you have the opportunity to be able to slow down, like check in with yourself and feel pure joy. Like those moments where you like dive into the ocean and you just like feel it on your skin, it just like vibrates through your body, or you're like walking through, you're going on a nature walk and you're just like looking up to the trees and like the sun shining through and you can hear the birds. Like those moments of like pure joy, bliss, presence, being able to enjoy those and be in those with someone you love, with like knowing you've got beautiful community around you, knowing that you're like helping people, knowing that you're like contributing to something bigger than yourself, like, and creating like life and like family, and then educating them to like grow up to be good humans. That's success for me.
That is the most beautiful answer. Thank you. And I think, so many people can probably relate to, maybe haven't even thought about that might be a version of success that they want to. It really resonated with me when you said being present of your surroundings, because when you get caught up in how busy things are and there's so much going on, I think that's something I personally really notice that I start to miss. And then, I will force myself to slow down. You start to notice it's, the stop and smell the roses cliche. You start to notice the birds and the different smells and light around you. And I think that's obviously just the start of being present, but it does always like jog my mind. Okay, I need to come back. Okay, this is going to be a tough one for you because I know that you didn't prepare for this. Can you recommend a book, a podcast, or a resource that has helped you in some way along your journey?
Okay, so the probably the big ones that come to mind early on, honestly, reading Atomic Habits. I mean, I know everyone probably says that, but that one just like really hit hard for me. I was like, oh, taking like choosing something as an identity and like owning it instead of being like, oh, I could never be a runner or I could never be a swimmer or whatever, but being like, yeah, I am a runner because I just go for runs, and I'm a swimmer because I go for swims. I think this shift in my mindset made me realize that anything you want to become a habit can become a habit, and that can shape your identity, and like you choose what you want to be. And I think like I did maybe 2 triathlons and I was like, yeah, I'm a triathlon person now. Like, I was like, and I learned to surf and I was like, I'm a surfer now. Like, I think that's shifted things in me because I'm like, own it. Like, that's your identity. Like, be who you want to be. Like, make a choice, like, commit to the habit, and like, you can do anything you want to do. And it doesn't have to be like such a mountain to climb. So that one was powerful for me. And The Big Leap by Jay Hendricks, is it?
I don't know, but it sounds completely relevant to this podcast. So I like the sound of it.
It's so good. And it talks about there's this zone of genius, like finding out what truly, like where you tap into that thing that really lights you up and that you really feel in flow, your zone of genius. Like, what are you so like good at? And like you can always learn, but like, what is it that like gives you that energy? And it's like, some people like never reach their zone of genius. They kind of just stay. And I think it exists in like normal life to me, like as a analogy, like we kind of just like stay in our lane, like doing what we think we should do and like fitting into molds. And I think when we push ourselves out of our comfort zone time and time again and continue to do that, and that's just in little ways, like showing up on social media, lifting a heavier weight, as we spoke about before, it keeps taking you higher and higher of like realizing what you're capable of achieving. So like just trusting like to push yourself further and like what can come from that. And like you just don't know what you're capable of achieving. Like there is so much more that we can achieve when we believe we can.
That is such a good one. Thank you. They're actually both really good ones. Someone's probably mentioned Atomic Habits before, but it doesn't come up often, as you may have thought. And I
Good
definitely
to know.
haven't heard of the other one. So those are amazing recommendations. Thank you. And lastly, where can people find you and work with you? I think that you're probably going to have an influx of people after this.
Oh my gosh, guys, I officially have a website, maddieisland.com. So proud of myself for building that. And so everything that you need to know is on my website. And you can also find me on Instagram, Madeline_Lucy, Madeline_Lucy. Come along for the journey. I would love to connect. Like, I just want to hear everyone's stories, and like so happy to be, support. I posted a reel. Actually, this was a few weeks ago. I posted a reel which I'd been thinking about for a while. I was like, it's like feel really strongly about wanting to put this message out there. And it was essentially saying like your life can change so quickly. And we talked about this actually. I think, yeah, you saw this reel and you said it here. Like in a second, your life can change. So like know that where you are now isn't where you'll be forever. Like it does, like you think you're stuck in a rut, you think you're stuck, but like it can change. Like when you just like get clear on your vision and you commit to it step by step, believe that you can have it, trust it, and take action. And like pretty much saying how I came back with nothing and like thought I had nothing to like how I feel now. And from that, I had a lot of people reach out, like people from over in Europe, from like the most random places in the world, just being like, oh my God, this has been so inspirational for me. I like had discovery calls with women who were like, I'm thinking about like moving to the US, or I want to go like start my own business, but I don't know how. And they're like, thank you for like telling me and inspiring me this. this also, by the way, doubled my following. Like I had 2,500 followers for maybe 5 years. And now I think I'm like, I almost hit 6,000 followers. And I was
Holy
like, how did that
shit.
happen?
That is so
it
impressive.
was a message people wanted to hear.
We'll try triple your following this time.
Let's go. I'm ready to triple. We're up leveling.
Thank you for taking a lot of your time out of your day. It's been so nice to chat to you.
It's been so nice. It's been my honor. Thank you so much for this interview. It's been amazing to share and so good to see you.